Hi, YouTube. Brandon is here, but he was way too cool to do the YouTube intro, but he will be on the podcast. Stay tuned. Lots of great games. Penn State, Michigan, Ole Miss, Georgia. What should they comment?
How much of a hero Conor Stallions is from on a scale of 0 to 10.
Legend. Like, subscribe, comment. Enjoy.
Hi. It's Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's College Football Podcast. Looking forward to Week 11 or Week 10. Who knows?
It's 11.
It's 11.
11.
That's fine. It's your opinion.
No, 12. No, 11.
No, it's 11.
I think it could be 10. It could be 10.
It's 11.
It's 11. It's NFL
Possibly
Week 10.
10, 11, or 12. It's between.
It's 11.
We believe it's between 10 and 12. There would be no way of knowing. So
I am 99.999% sure it is 11.
the working theory here at Unnecessary Roughness is it's Week 11. We'll have to check that. We're brought to you by High Noon. Casey, why?
Because it's delicious. I am sitting right now next to Jack, and in between us is the El Prez pack, the High Noon. I did notice that it is opened, and for a second I thought that I was going to be like, oh, they tried it. Nope, they're being good. It is still completely full, but it is open. The passion fruit, pineapple, pear, and tangerine. The game day pack is also out there. The tequila, the vodka. There's the big boy, the tall can right in front of me that's resealable. What is it, the peach? I think it's the peach. So yeah, go to highnoonsunsips.com, go to Drizzly, liquor stores, convenience stores. You guys know the drill. We will be in Fort Worth, Texas this weekend for the Barstool College Football Show, and I anticipate seeing a lot of High Noons in the crowd. Hopefully the new tangerine flavor because it is delicious. Brandon, Week 11, college football.
How do you think the TCU crowd's going to react to seeing you, Casey? Because my memory is not 100% correct, but
Oh boy,
last year, boy, I was on that TCU bandwagon the whole time. I really saw a team that had guts, a team that had moxie, a team that won a lot of close games. You being a Texas A&M graduate, you've always never liked Texas TCU. So I'm just worried that they're going to really be hostile towards you and not me.
Yeah, I can anticipate that they'll remember very closely and carefully what you said. It is going to be very interesting because, I went to high school 10 minutes away from TCU. I was very verbal about how much I did not like TCU, especially when I was in college, because a lot of the idiots I went to high school with turned into complete douchebags when they went to TCU. But I also had some great friends that went there, and my parents will be at the show, which is very exciting. They're playing Texas, and obviously Texas fans do not like me because I went to A&M, so it'll be a very weird thing for me. Luckily, though, you hated TCU so much last year, and you were dead wrong about TCU through the regular season. They'll remember that more than they care about me being there, I'd assume.
I was never.
He was wrong in the semifinals.
I was never.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I mean, they made the national championship game, and unfortunately, obviously, looked like shit. I will say this show is going to be very, very cool because it's right in front of the stadium. We've never had a show like that. We never go to TCU, so it'll be new. I just hope Brandon gets booed.
All right, Jack, I'm tagging you in. The first story we're starting with before we get to all the games this weekend. It's been, I guess, 36 hours since we last recorded, which means, according to my calculations, there have been 250,000 updates of the Conor Stallions story.
It's truly.
We've seen him celebrating. We've seen there's a vacuum cleaner business in there somewhere. He started a business maybe with Blake Corum, who claims to not know about it. There's also a name in there that has a LinkedIn that might be a made-up person.
He's not. He went to high school with Conor Stallions.
Okay. He's not made up. Michigan says that they're no longer saying, hey, we weren't cheating, get off our back. What they're saying is, you all cheated too. Here's the proof.
Yep.
Jack, fill in the lines for me. Where am I missing anything?
Well, you probably are, because by the time this comes out, more stuff is going to come out, which is crazy because this story just keeps going and going and going and going and going. However, you nailed all the Conor Stallions stuff outside of him starting a vacuum business, a refurbishing vacuum business, and then I don't even know how you start that. That's such a bizarre one to start. But then which is illegal within the neighborhood that he was in, so he got essentially sued by his homeowners association, and then he represented himself in court and said, hey, guys, this is happening because Michigan State Jeff down the street hates me and wants me to be distracted from trying to make Michigan football as great as possible. So that's why this is happening.
I think I've arrived
business.
at one conclusion, Jack. This Conor Stallions story has proven just how fucking stupid this sport is.
Yeah, no, this is. We can get into all the other Michigan, like saying, "Oh, Purdue, Ohio State, Rutgers," in a second. Conor Stallions, it truly, and people have said this isn't coming from my brain, so I don't want to take credit for it, but they hired a message board guy as a coach, and he turned into the most insane human being he was from the get-go. And the refurbishing vacuum business was not very good. They did the Wall Street Journal dug into and found some reviews of the business, and he was 2.4 out of 5 stars on the vacuum business. Which, in his defense, here's the thing: he was busy stealing signs. I mean, what do you like? You think he had time to refurbish? He was just trying to buy his house.
Also, call me crazy, but in this day and age, don't you just go on Amazon and buy another vacuum cleaner? Like, what kind of? I know back in the day, you used to have like crazy vacuum cleaners that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, or maybe even thousands, and you had to get those fixed. The whole thing is just so funny. It continues to be funny. You know, we talked about just the legend that he is. It keeps growing. It has to be a movie at some point. I don't even care if they fictionalize everything and make, the team some random team. Like, we're going to know it's Conor Stallions. I don't know what it's going to take for this story to have like a real ending.
I don't think they're...
But I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon anyways.
All right, so let me give you my take on where we stand, Jack. And I would like for your take, because nobody in college sports media has been as intricately following this story as you. All right, so Michigan took it on the chin for a couple of weeks. Michigan saw, its name kind of sullied. Michigan had to sit there. Well, not had to sit there, because if they didn't cheat, there's a reason it came down to roost. But Michigan took a lot of punches for a few weeks. And then over the weekend, it began to come out that Michigan was going to go on the offensive, and they were going to start, throwing some punches of their own. And Monday, I believe, we started finding out, there was an anonymous coach who totally exists, who had a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet said that these Big Ten teams had their signs. And then I think Tuesday it got specific where Rutgers
gave the exact.
Yeah, Rutgers and Ohio State shared the information with Purdue before the Big Ten championship game last year. So
yes,
in the long run, I do wonder how effective the strategy will be. Yes, we cheated a lot, but here's a bunch of other teams that cheated. Because if you're under investigation for cheating, you still have to answer for that. So I wonder that. But if I'm being honest, and if this were a game, if this were a football game, then last week Michigan was down big in the first half. I don't know if they're winning now, but they've certainly made the score a lot closer. What do you think about that?
I agree with you. I also think they have the ball right now, and they have a perfect plan for the rest of the week. At least that's what it seems, because everything that was said behind the scenes that was going to come out on Monday, Tuesday, and whatnot, it all came out. And there's a lot more still to come out, it appears. And I believe the reason the Big Ten hasn't done anything yet is because they got presented all of the information at once, and they're kind of looking around like, what are we supposed to do? And I think by the lack of, and the pure confidence that Michigan has in the fact that, hey, yeah, we're in trouble, but because you guys went and cried to the Big Ten and the NCAA, we're going to you're going to be in trouble too, because we knew that Purdue had our signs and we probably had Purdue signs. So it was kind of a little bit of all right, this isn't a gentleman's game, but we don't go crying to the principal. Now you cried to the principal, so guess what? We're going to cry to the principal as well. And, yeah, here's the thing. What is worse? It still appears right now that what Michigan did was, quote-unquote, worse. But what's the difference between Conor Stallions getting the signs his way and Purdue, Ohio State. Now, here's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, Ohio State and Rutgers gave Purdue the signs. How did Ohio State and Rutgers get the signs?
So I assume they got them during their games with them. I assume they got them when they played them, which is a lot different than sending out a network of spies. That's a lot different than having a coach stand on Central Michigan's sidelines. It's a lot different. I assume that's what happened.
But isn't there also then how did they collude together to do it? Because then they might not have the same type of network of spies that Michigan did. And I agree with Jack. Obviously, it looks like what Michigan done right now, where we stand, has been worse. But then you also have to have somebody whose sole job is to sit there, steal the signs, put it into a spreadsheet, and then find a coach on Purdue who's going to then accept it. So there is also like a network that's happening behind the scenes too, because it's not just like some guy was standing on the sidelines like, oh, I think this is what this play means. That guy's sole job was to document it, to send it to another team.
My theory is that, where Rutgers comes in, I don't know. But my theory is Ohio State lost to Michigan. And there was a double-edged sword here where, on one hand, their feelings are hurt because they got their ass beat. And on the other hand, they feel like they got their ass beat because they got cheated. Well, if they're going to fucking cheat and beat us, fuck them. Hey, Purdue, you're playing them in the conference championship game. Fuck these motherfuckers. And it didn't work because Purdue's trash. What?
I think it's, at least from my opinion, how Rutgers comes in is, where was Schiano before he was he came back to Rutgers? He was at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's easy, yeah.
And then Rutgers gave everything they needed to give to Ohio State before that game. So both sidelines had it's so funny that it becomes as if, all right, a lot of people are stealing signs. And then the Athletic does, and I do believe that they did this in the best way possible. They surveyed every coach in college football, or at least 60 or 70 of them. They all said, or 95% of them said, yes, we should have helmets, or we should have the speakers in helmets.
Yeah.
So why don't we just do this? But it appears as if it goes this. I don't know. It appears more is to come. Here's the thing: why people were so mad at Michigan was the competitive advantage. The competitive advantage kind of seems as if it's not as deep as it once seemed.
It just has a crazy figure attached to it. That's why. The Conor Stallions stuff is crazy.
And Michigan, I think Michigan knows too. Hey, we cheated. But guess what? Everybody else is doing something very similar. The grounds that you have to potentially kick us out of your championship game or suspend our coach.
Yeah. Or TV bans. Yeah. That's crazy.
Or like, no, you're not going to do that. And if you're going to do that, okay, here we go. We're going to push this into court, or we're going to push it through the media to make you look like an idiot.
Right. Brandon, obviously the game this weekend, though, as we mentioned on Monday, that, the NCAA or the Big Ten are probably kind of wanting Penn State to win a little bit to kind of slow this thing down. Now, obviously, that doesn't change a whole lot for Michigan if Michigan then goes out and beats Ohio State because you've, the Big Ten tiebreaker. So we'll get into that game because I think I know where you're going to go with this. But before we do, if you are listening to this and you are curious how you can get to Penn State, Michigan, or get to, TCU, Texas, where we'll be. There's obviously a big game in Athens, Ole Miss, Georgia. Brandon, how do you think that they could figure out how to go to that game?
Or how to get into that game?
Y'all have got my mind in a pretzel, but I'm going to say they need to go to a ticketing app.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know. I'm going to be honest.
What?
My mind was in a pretzel, too. I didn't know if we were going to the game or getting into the game.
I didn't know if we were driving to the game or if we were walking into the game.
Fair.
But game time.
Fair.
We love game time.
We love game time. Game time can get you into the game. How about that? If you want to get into the game at Happy Valley, if you want to get into the game in Athens, you go to Game Time right now. It is the official ticketing app of Barstool Sports.
I'll be using it this weekend. I'm going to go to the UFC 295 at MSG. Shout out Game Time. They can get you into concerts. They can get you into football games.
Shout out Bieber.
They can get you into hockey, basketball. They can get you into any game on this earth. I'm not going to say on this earth, but close to it.
Close to it. I've been to Celtics playoff games thanks to Game Time. I've been to a lot of different things, and you can too. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code RUFF for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code RUFF for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. As we've said, you could literally be sitting at home like an hour before the game if you're in these college towns and decide you want to go. We love GameTime. Brandon,
3 minutes before the game.
Yeah,
if you're close.
You could be walking up to the stadium and be like, I think I'm just going to tailgate. No, I want to go into the game. Download GameTime. We love it. There will be a lot of people are going to be using GameTime when we're at TCU this weekend. But Brandon, you and I are on the same page here. I think this podcast has been on the same page with noon Eastern kickoffs. I understand on the West Coast it stinks because it's so early. But Michigan Penn State being at noon, because I'm going to be watching it not at the stadium. Like, I like that. I think it's great. It starts the day off with a bang.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that are not happy that this game is happening at noon.
Actually, Casey,
I feel like people need to get over
problem for you.
Traveling.
Yeah, you're not going to watch that game.
Brandon,
Where?
let me tell you this. I am actually flying from New York.
Yeah? Are you getting there before us?
I will be landing in Texas around kickoff.
Well, who's doing the pro football show?
Me.
You're flying here tomorrow, back to New York, back to Texas?
I'm flying to Chicago today.
Oh, I
flying
see.
back to New York tomorrow. Flying to Texas Saturday.
You won't believe this, but you're not the only one with a busy schedule.
Yeah.
I didn't say.
Did you see his face?
Jack.
Did you see his face? He was like, what?
Yeah. No, I also have a
kidding.
very busy schedule. I'm flying to Chicago in just a little bit. But yes, I will be able to see this game. You
All right.
guys won't.
A mother, what's the Carrie Underwood song? It's like mother that works 2 jobs. Like, you don't work 2 jobs, but it's like that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, barely works one. What happened? Oh,
Thanks, Nate.
Something's wrong with this.
Thanks, Nate.
No,
Something's wrong with the Zoom. Okay, here we go.
What is Zoom?
Are we not on Zoom?
No, we are. No. It was just.
Okay.
I was just joking.
Talk about
around.
the game.
Something's wrong with the Zoom. What game? Don't holler at me. Don't
You're
holler
being a
at me.
dickhead. Katie can holler at you whenever she
I
wants.
wasn't being a
limited
dickhead to her.
time.
I was being a
Let's go.
dickhead to you.
I need clips.
Michigan and Penn State. Here's the big games to me. It's a week that we kind of been waiting for in the Big Ten. It is. Let's strip away everything about this Michigan scandal. Let's not worry about Conor Stallions. Let's not worry about any of this, and let's just focus on this. The truth of the matter is, from a football perspective, this is Michigan's first football game of the season. They have played the worst 9-game schedule of any contender I can ever remember in my life. And now it gets semi-real. They have Penn State, then they have a trip to Maryland, who has fallen off, and then they have Ohio State. They have a 3-game season starting now. So whatever they're going to be, whoever they are, we're about to find out. My voice is gone. I was here all night I was mingling with clients and everything, and now I got the Barstool Invitational tonight. It's bad. Remember when I used to lose my voice every day, Katie? It has returned.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that was
I
crazy.
Forgot about that.
A
Well,
little too far away for that now.
you have arrived because my voice is about to. I can already feel it. It's slipping. Michigan Penn
Honey,
State.
a lot of honey.
Michigan Penn State. This is the first game of the year for Michigan. Penn State kind of shit the bed in their one big game. I do think people overreacted when Penn State lost to Ohio State. They just acted like Penn State was trash. I don't believe that. I think this is a very close game, and I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Casey, what do you think? You think Michigan just comes in here and fucks them up?
No, I don't think that it's going to be a crazy score differential. I really don't. I think it's going to be close. The thing is with Michigan, regardless of, like, as you've said, all the off-the-field stuff, all the sign stealing, signal stealing, drama, whatever, this is how we are going to see what Michigan really looks like, because Michigan has been so dominant against a very, very easy schedule that we haven't seen their starters in the fourth quarter most of the season. And I know that I'm a broken record. I say that every week. That is crazy that we are in the middle of November and that is still technically a stat.
Yep.
That is, it's unheard of. I don't care how easy your schedule is.
Yeah, you are right. They did play their starters all of last week, but it wasn't good enough to stop Purdue with 20 seconds left and cover the game.
Yeah, I know. I knew you were going to have to bring that one up. That was tough for you.
But they did. You are right. I mean, it is. They've played a schedule that is not great, but that schedule they have dominated.
Yeah, that's still, I mean, they can only play what the Big Ten gives them. So, yes, they had some cupcake non-conference games. However, this is the game we are going to see exactly how good they are. Penn State also, and I know that Maryland has fallen off. Penn State dominated Maryland. Drew Aller had a complete game. They looked really good. It wasn't even close.
The defense looked amazing.
The defense looked really good. Michigan's defense has looked phenomenal. So that's the biggest thing for me here. I do think Michigan's going to win the game. I still think Michigan's going to win the Big Ten East and go to the Big Ten championship and ultimately the playoff. However, this is where we are really going to see what Michigan looks like. We're going to see what J.J. McCarthy looks like behind a phenomenal offensive line. Great offensive line. We're going to see how good Penn State's defense is. We're going to see how good Drew Aller is. That, to me, is the most exciting part of this. It's not just like, okay, Michigan and the drama, we're going to put that behind us for a little bit. No, we're going to see exactly how good these two teams are. At the end of the day, I still don't believe James Franklin can win this game. I just truly don't.
Interesting. I agree. I think the best aspect here, our biggest aspect, will be the offensive line of Michigan against Penn State's pass rush. Because last week, I mean, I'm no fan of Talia Tagovailoa, but he had legitimately no time last week. The defense was on a disgusting level last week. It seemed as if they were hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And Michigan's offensive line protection has been very good. J.J. McCarthy has to have a big game. This is away, but he's been in tough environments before. I think this is a game that Michigan will remind everybody, hey, I know you guys think we cheat and whatnot, but we're not cheating right now because you guys are all over us, and we're still the best team in the country.
Well,
Georgia.
Okay, well, at no
Penn
point have
State-
they been the best team in the country. I step in there. They're not the best team in the country.
The indications from various advanced stats models is that they have.
But
been
how
the
can
best
you
team in the
how can
country.
you trust those advanced?
I understand
stat models
the
when
resume aspect.
Yeah, they have no resume. Like, they've not played a game. They have not played an actual football game.
Yeah, but we can just based upon and compare it to others. That's what we do earlier in the season when teams have schedules that are backloaded, such as Michigan's, and I'm predicting that. I guess you could say, and I think after this game we're going to say no, that's the best team in the country.
So let me
That's my prediction.
Let me ask a question. One of two things could happen here. Okay? Michigan could come into this game in complete fuck you mode. They could come in here saying, cheaters, huh? Yeah, suck on this. That could happen. They could be like that. They could be just absolutely playing with their hair on fire. Or they could be distracted. They could be weighing down. And frankly, it could be the cheating advantage they have was so massive that when they get up against a team with a pulse, it goes back on them, and all of a sudden they're playing a real live team, and oh shit goes crazy, and Penn State wins this game. I think those are your two options. Either Michigan's in fuck you mode, or they're in oh shit, we're not cheating anymore mode. Which is it? Which is more?
I think they're going to be in fuck you mode. I don't necessarily think that means they're going to win by 28 points.
If Michigan gets Penn State signs from let's just say another Illinois, would that be cheating?
I wonder who would help Michigan cheat at this point. If the entire Big Ten, and we heard stories last week of a majority of Big Ten coaches saying you got to do something about Michigan, who would help Michigan at this point? I don't know that anybody would.
Here's my question about all of this, and not just Michigan, just in general. Like, yes, you obviously get an advantage if you are stealing signs, and you know what the offense is going to be giving you when your defense is on the field. I get that. But that doesn't make their offensive line any less talented. That doesn't make their defense any less talented. Like, just because they had the signs doesn't mean that they're allowing
it does. It does.
Not completely.
Yeah, it does. No, if you know the play that the other team is running, you are more talented than if you didn't know the play. That's just the fact.
That is true, but that doesn't mean if I could know every single play that Ohio State's going to run and I could run out the best Barstool team in the world, we're still not stopping Ohio State.
No,
like,
but
you're
talking about apples. You're talking about apples and battle axes now. Like, those aren't even the same things. But if we're talking about two Division I football teams and one of them knows what the other one's going to do, that's a massive advantage.
But now we know that both teams knew what the other one was going to do.
I'm not saying it's not an advantage, but that doesn't mean they're not talented.
Yes.
Ohio State, I mean, the play last year that pretty much sealed the game. The game was already over at this point, but it was 3rd and 4, and Donovan Edwards ran that 80-yard play. Yeah. Ohio State, if you go and watch that play, or maybe they knew exactly, or maybe they just happened to send the exact perfect blitz. And Michigan's offensive line and Ohio State just played it very poorly in terms of not, like, the call was perfect. Donovan Edwards just ran through the hole and then just ran right past Ohio State. So this is to say that they're both talented. Michigan's a very talented team. And if they win the national championship this year, if they win this game, actually, I'll say it. If they win this game against Penn State and they kill them, it's the most pure win of the college football season this year.
And if they lose, it is official. They're the biggest fraud in college football history.
No, because they could still beat Ohio State.
If they lose both of those games, they're the biggest fraud in college football history.
Yeah. All right.
If they lose both.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Because you can, like I said, and we all know this, the round robin in the Big Ten East. I'm not saying they don't have a competitive advantage, but your two options were like they come out in fuck you mode, or because they can't cheat anymore, they can't get it done. Like they can still beat Penn State because they're a very talented football team. Also, Penn State should have all new signals, all new signs, and if Michigan can come out and still beat them like that, then we can sit here and be like, yeah, okay, they had the competitive advantage, maybe a little bit more than other teams who were also cheating. They shouldn't have been doing it. It's taking it 2 steps too far. However, it's not like we're talking about an untalented football team that only was winning because they were stealing signs.
Last thing on this game, and then I have to move on because I have about 3 minutes left. I got to go do something for the Barstool Invitational. I told them I haven't announced that to the people yet. So 3 minutes left. I'm going to go in rapid fire mode here. The one reason I think Penn State's going to keep this close and possibly win the game, you know what? Fuck it. Penn State's winning this game because people gave up on them way too severely when they lost a road game at Ohio State. That happens. Ohio State's very fucking good. They're the number 1 team in the country. Losing a road game, a hard-fought road game there doesn't mean you're trash. That's why I think Penn State's winning this game. That's why I also think Michigan has a better chance to beat Ohio State. I mean, home team matters. Home field matters. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss, Georgia. We unfortunately do not have enough time to talk about that game. Tennessee, Missouri. I love Missouri. I think they're going 10-2. USC, Oregon, Utah, Washington. These are 2 games that look like they were going to be gigantic earlier this year, but with I don't think Utah is all that good, and USC has fallen off. But we're just headed straight towards Oregon, Washington. If I could go anywhere in the country this week, I would go to. Well, hell, I'd go to Happy Valley and watch Michigan Penn State. The player I want to see, Drew Aller, because if he sucks, they get killed. If he's good, they could win. The under the radar game, who gives a fuck? Who knows? I don't know.
I'll tell you one. Mississippi State, Texas A&M.
Shut the fuck up. You fuck right off.
Before he leaves, we have to get that in.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I got to say it. I got to talk to my people real quick.
This is his witching week.
It's about to happen this Saturday, right?
No, I think this might be the last game that Zach Arnett coaches at Mississippi State. There are coaches out there that I don't know. I would love for him to turn around. I'd love for him to beat A&M, beat Ole Miss, everything. But you know, I just don't. I think unfortunately this might be the end. Now, where would I look elsewhere? You know, maybe I'm going to pay attention to Tulane's game this week. Maybe I'm going to pay attention to Troy's game this week. I don't know. Maybe.
I just would like
Dan
to
Mullen, holler at your boy.
Just like to point out that in the history of our podcast together, which has been many years, there's always some sort of drama that happens this week. I don't think that's going to happen this year because I think we're both down so bad on our own teams that we're not going to fight. And I think that's growth. That's progress.
And I got to go as soon as I get finished saying this sentence. So you're not going to be able to rebut. But let's not forget that it wasn't really an argument we got into. It was you going behind my back and being a treasonous traitor and starting a bet with Dan when you said that you wouldn't do it. You promised me, and I had to drive 17 hours with my daughter.
No.
So,
no.
God bless everybody. College football is great, and we will see you guys on Saturday night.
That is just not what happened. Also, I love that he said that I can't make a rebuttal when he's leaving. I still can. He pushed somebody this week a few years ago. This is not a good week for him. So how do we want to do this? Because he just rattled through all of his. Do we want to go back and just...
Well, I think we can dive into some of the games.
For sure. I just, how do we want to... I don't know what he just did. That was crazy. That was an insane person move.
Rocket money.
Rocket money. Let's let's discuss our friends over at Rocket Money, who will get us right in multiple ways.
Yeah,
I want to start there. That's the first game of the week, and I want to start
the Rocket Money. again, when we get the text messages from Katie, when the sales team is giving us new advertisers, I'm always excited because that means the podcast is making more money. That means we're more lucrative to the company. Then I get the extra level of excited because I love the product, usually, depending on what it is. Rocket Money, I was already using long before they were an advertiser of this podcast. Rocket Money is phenomenal for so many different reasons, like Jack said, but one of the biggest things, and this day and age, it's so easy to sign up for subscriptions all over the place, on your phone, on computer, on your TV even, and you don't know what you've signed up for. You do a free trial of a network and then you forget and you're paying a lot more money than you want to. Rocket Money can go and find those unwanted subscriptions, those subscriptions that you're not actually using. Is that us?
Oh, sorry. I was just unrecording that.
Oh, okay. Rocket Money can tell you what you're not using, and they can go in and not only alert you of it, they can cancel it for you. Rocket Money can also help you with your monthly budget, can help you negotiate lower bills for you. They can do everything, Jack. They can do everything, Katie. And who doesn't want more money? Who?
The biggest thing that you can do is manage your money correctly. And I'm not going to tell you how to manage your money, but I will suggest getting rid of unwanted subscriptions. You're just wasting that money. So get into Rocket Money,
Yes.
Get focused, and start your financial journey today with Rocket Money. And who doesn't want more money? It's that time of the year when you got to spend some more traveling. You need to buy gifts. Get the money from Rocket
It's also
Money.
free.
It's free.
It's a free thing,
Exactly.
which is phenomenal. And like the subscriptions too, like you don't have to do anything but just tell them you want to cancel it. You don't have to sit on the phone. You don't have to send emails. So stop wasting money right now. If you cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage all your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/rough. That's rocketmoney.com/rough. rocketmoney.com/rough. Again, the app itself is free. The whole business is free. Just go figure out how to save money thanks to Rocket Money. Okay, so I assume we want to go to Ole Miss, Georgia, right? That's probably where we're going to go.
Yep.
I know that Ohio State is right now the number one team in the college football playoff rankings. According to them, they are the best team in the country. They probably have the best resume. Now, Notre Dame obviously does not look near as good of a win as it did when it happened because Notre Dame doesn't look as good. Georgia, to me, and I understand it was a very close game against Missouri. Missouri is very good. Georgia, to me, has still, from the beginning, stayed the best team in the country. Now, I have Michigan at number one. We can argue that till kingdom come. Georgia is unbelievable. We don't even know how good Carson Beck is going to be when he's done. But Jack, you've been high on Carson Beck. You've been high on this Georgia team. Ole Miss also looks very good. Where do you stand on it?
I think Georgia just... That being said, I was about to say, Lane Kiffin in big games, but Lane Kiffin this year has been eking out these big games. There was always, I came into this season saying, hey, Lane Kiffin, when's the last time you won a big game? And I would ask Ole Miss fans that. But this year, he's won a few, you know. The only game he lost was against Bama, and it wasn't their game. This is a chance. I mean, if he does this, it would be something.
Good Lord.
And if he does this would be
top 10 matchup in Athens.
and it opens a lot of doors. I mean, it would be. I'd be very surprised though. I think Georgia has them covered almost everywhere. That being said, Jackson Dart could go in there and have a phenomenal game, but I think Georgia just kind of slaps them around.
Georgia
they
hasn't
just have
lost...
bigger players. They have faster players. They have stronger players. They have everything. They have the better quarterback, in my opinion. I'm not going to say that. I mean, Dijon Edwards is pretty fucking good. So, I mean, I'm not going to say he's a better running back, but he's pretty close. They almost have better everything, and I think it's at home. This is a really tough spot for Ole Miss. That being said, if Lane Kiffin could go in there and have a great game plan and maybe he has something up his sleeve. Because Georgia has kind of been in these games where they've let other teams stick around. And Ole Miss is good enough. If you let them stick around, they could win.
Yeah, there are multiple things at play here. First of all, I love the Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin against each other because they sat in an Alabama coaching staff room together for 2 or 3 seasons. That's great. Georgia has not lost at home in 5 seasons, which is a wild stat. I mean, we know how good Georgia is, but they are, as much shit as we've talked about their home stadium environment.
Yep.
Like, they do not lose at home. They don't.
Kirby, we'll see. I mean, even if they lose the rest of this year's games, what Kirby's done at Georgia is unbelievable. He's built, a palace that you can't get into at Georgia that is just, hey, when you come here, we win. Now, you could make an argument that's a little bit due to the fact that the East is a little bit down and whatnot in the Florida games. That stat that is, since Florida beat Georgia 3 years ago, that Kyle Pitts team, I think they've lost once.
It's insane.
And Florida's 500.
Yeah, Florida's not been good.
And people kind of forget how much they hate Florida. Since that game, since Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask put up big-time numbers, Georgia has taken over the college football world, and Florida's kind of just bleh.
Yeah, bleh. I think Georgia wins this game. I also there's an element though about Lane, because you brought this up. Lane in these big games, sometimes we haven't seen it come to fruition. A couple of years ago when he talked about getting your popcorn ready against Alabama, and you're like, oh boy, you shouldn't say that about Nick Saban. His press conference this week, and the quotes that are going viral are like, he's saying, we're playing with house money here. Like, what do we have to lose? We're just going to go out there. That, to me, is a much better way to approach it, as opposed to saying, like, well, get your popcorn ready. We're going to go in there and beat the, back-to-back national champions. Because in reality, like, when you're looking at this on paper, like, yes, Georgia is the more talented team. Yes, like, a lot of people think Georgia's going to win the national title again. I don't know if anybody thinks Ole Miss is even going to make the college football playoff. But if you go in with that attitude and you say, hey, guys, we have nothing to lose here. We're a top 10 team. We're very talented. Not that A&M is anywhere near as good as Georgia, but A&M's defense is really fucking good. Jackson Dart had no problem against A&M's defense. Now it became a wild game at the end, but you just came off that week and you just say, hey, let's go into Athens. Let's play our game. Let's play the offense that we know how to play. Let's slow down their defense a little bit. Crazy things can happen. That, to me, is a much better way to approach a big game like this, which is why I'm teetering on the edge of saying, like, could they do this? Could they do it? I don't know if they will, but could they?
I'm firm in no.
There's no chance in your mind.
Everything has to go right for Ole Miss, and everything has to go wrong for Georgia.
I think Georgia's gonna, just smack them. But there's a chance. I mean, it's football.
It's not like it's a team that's 500 going in Athens. No, I do think that Georgia wins this game. It's a top 10 matchup. Jackson Dart is a good quarterback. I know we had the whole Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, but
defense leaves a lot to be desired.
Yes, I
you watched it last weekend. I mean, A&M really should have won that game, and so I really
bullshit.
Carson Beck. I mean, if Carson Beck really wants to have a game, I know he doesn't have Brock Bowers, but if he wants to have a game this weekend, I think he's going to have the opportunity to do so.
I think it's going to be a good game, but I think we're all taking Georgia.
Yeah,
Georgia.
Yeah.
Maybe like a 14, 17-point game.
It's going to be. Anytime you get two coaches that have been on the same staff together, especially as coordinators playing against each other, it's awesome. But then you get like the personalities of Kirby and Lane too. Like, it's going to be great. I would say the next game. What do you think about the Tennessee Missouri?
Yeah,
that's probably the next big
Those
one.
two, yeah. This is a big game, I think, for Josh Heupel. I mean, he and Tennessee need to. I don't think it's a must-win by any means, but a loss here would look not great for Tennessee. I know they have Georgia next weekend, but Tennessee winning this game kind of would reaffirm, all right, everything's all right. Let's take a deep breath, Tennessee. Not to say their fans are feeling down about it, but I mean, Tennessee wins this game. They have a chance to. Well, they have to beat Georgia, but What, they have 2 losses, right?
Yeah, 2 each.
They
win this game. They finish the season 9-3. They go to possibly a New Year's Six bowl, or probably not, because Ole Miss will be up there. But then they win a bowl game 10-3. It's a good season for Josh Heupel. I mean, Tennessee wants to be competing for national championships, but this wasn't the season that was supposed to be the biggest one for them.
I think that especially because Brandon's been so high on Missouri, we've talked about Missouri so much, that Tennessee's success this year has kind of been downplayed a little bit just because of how high we were on them last year. I mean, we were talking about them potentially making it in the playoff. Like when we talk about the SEC East right now, like, yes, we know Tennessee is there, but we talk about Missouri a whole lot more, probably because Missouri's not usually in that conversation recently. Yes, I know they've won the East twice, but this game is who's second best in the East, who's behind Georgia, which is a far fall right now because Georgia is that good. But, you know, it's 13-14 matchup. I don't know how Tennessee fans would feel if they lost to Missouri because Missouri's good this year, Katie.
I know, but I think the brand of Missouri.
Oh, I do agree.
Like,
with that.
I think that, yes, even though Missouri is much better this year, people will still see Tennessee losing to Missouri. And I think Tennessee fans will lose their shit if they lose. I know, even though Missouri's good, like it takes a few years, I think, of this level of talent and winning to reestablish the brand. I think Missouri still has the sour taste in the mouth if someone loses to them.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, yeah, I was just going back. Tennessee hasn't lost to Mizzou since 2018. So, yeah, this would be like they beat Mizzou.
Yeah, it's like me with UNC with Clemson. Even though Clemson's 4-5, if we beat them, they might as well be a national championship contender in my eyes.
Tennessee, I forgot this. They've destroyed Mizzou the past 2 years. 66-24 last year, 62-24 2 years ago. So, yeah, the KD's assessment, Tennessee fans, I think really, at least recently in the Josh Heupel era, expect to beat Missouri. You should beat Missouri. And that's not to say that that's anything wrong with Mizzou, and Mizzou's definitely building back up. They expect to win this game. They should win this game. And
it's a 1-point spread too.
Yeah, I mean, Mizzou. Yeah, this is a good game. This is definitely this was my under the radar game of the week.
Should we just do the categories then?
I was gonna say I mean,
we obviously have.
Is there any? I'm trying to
Utah,
think.
Washington.
I don't
So Washington's defense is garbage. Utah was able to beat USC, who has an even more garbage defense. I don't know how much better Washington's defense is than USC's, but it's a little bit better.
Definitely,
a little bit more serviceable. I think
Washington's defense is, I mean, in their defense, like Washington's defense kept them alive. Like if it wasn't for Washington's defense, they would have lost to Arizona State.
I do think that this is a Michael Penix game I mean Utah's defense is not bad, but Utah the fact they're still even ranked 18th, like I understand it's just a weird team this year because we've not seen Cam Rising. I think Washington will win this game and I think that they'll be fine. Obviously if they lose, then it becomes a little bit more interesting, but USC Oregon is late. That sucks that USC is not even ranked. Like that's crazy. That's a Bo Nix game. Let's just go into the categories because I feel like we can probably get. And if we don't get into any of the games, then we can get back into them. Do we want to do a caveat where we say you can't? Oh no, because there's multiple games.
Mine's not Michigan, Penn State.
It's not.
No.
What is it?
Missouri, Tennessee.
Of all the games you would want to go to, you would want to go to Missouri, Tennessee.
I said the same thing with James Franklin for Ohio State. I'll believe he can beat Ohio State, Michigan once I see it. Okay. Regardless of anything happening, I want there to be parity. I'll believe James Franklin can do it when I see it. I think Michigan is going to win that game. I think, yes, Happy Valley, like a whiteout Happy Valley is my bucket list for this one. I just think Tennessee fans are threatened. They're going to be scared.
You can smell the fear on them?
I would hope so. Like, I'm not trying to insult Tennessee fans, but Missouri's good. I know the branding of Missouri is bad, but I think the SEC will be more fun. Also, probably Happy Valley is going to be really fucking cold.
Jack, if you could go to any game in the country, what would it be?
State.
Yeah, mine would be too.
Oh, you're fine.
That's fair.
Actually,
I mean, Ole Miss, Georgia is not a bad.
Georgia's not a bad one. I just think Georgia's gonna. But here's the thing: Georgia hasn't had a night game in a little bit, or they have. Yeah, they played Kentucky at night. Sorry. I think, but they don't have a lot of night games. I think last year the fans were complaining about it. They didn't have a lot of night games. And this year, this is their second one, I believe, and it's going to be fun under the lights. I mean, there's something cool about that, and so I think that's a fun little matchup.
Yeah, no, that'll be very, very.
And they
fun.
don't play that often.
I think that this Michigan Penn State game, because like just the
100%,
just not even just like the game on the field that we've gone in depth breaking down. Just can you imagine just the hoopla around it? I mean, we're just leading up to one of the most dramatic games in college football history. In a couple
Oh, I
weeks.
mean
It's gonna be awesome.
from what appears is going to be out there by the time Ohio State and Michigan play. Michigan, it's only going to get more dramatic. I think there's going to be stuff out there by the time that game happens that is the Michigan and Ohio State, they're just going to be yelling at each other. It's just who cheated more kind of thing.
Which is great.
If Penn State wins this weekend, are they rushing the field?
Jack, you're the field rushing guy.
Yeah, I think they do.
I think they honestly, I think they should. I know it's a top 10 matchup, so it's like, okay, but still, I mean, Michigan's number 3 in the country. All the cheating and all that, and James Franklin does not win these games.
The only thing is, I think there's less field stormings for the noon games.
I think you have to
Every
storm the
week.
field against Michigan.
Every week, I get somebody who tweets me and says, like, hey, or whenever Clemson has a home game, it's like, hey, you idiot, keep that same energy you had for Colorado for Clemson. And I just reply, they do it every single game,
Jack,
win or loss.
The fact that people have not figured out Clemson's field storming by now, it's like they've been doing this for years.
I will say what is figured out.
What is it?
HBO Max.
Oh.
HBO Max has figured out sports.
They figured out a lot of things, but they've definitely figured out sports. They have.
Yeah, obviously.
Listen.
Know HBO Max for the amount of shows, movies, documentaries that have been on there that are just amazing. I mean, they've ran the world for the past however many decades. However, the sports, HBO Max Sports is a phenomenal product.
Get into the game with the Bleacher Report Sports add-on Max. You can get select live games from the NBA, NHL, men's and women's soccer, and the NCAA Men's March Madness. It's a front row seat. And everybody that's listening to this probably already has Max because it has all the best shows on there. I mean, shout out, like Succession, obviously I'm obsessed with. You've got Entourage. You've got Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Sopranos.
You've got it all. You've got everything. So why not add it on? And if you do add it on, it's not that expensive, Katie. It's not that expensive at all. So BR Sports add-on included for a limited time with any Max subscription, which you probably already have. After the promotional period, add BR Sports starting at only $9.99 a month. That base subscription is required. So, again, if you're listening, you probably already have Max. And if you do, go add on $9.99 a month for the BR Sports package. Sign up now at max.com/sports. Who doesn't love your favorite TV shows and your sports all in one place? Who?
They have all of South Park, too.
There you go.
They
There's
do.
another-
Honestly, it
my
feels like they have
D-Gen.
everything. Like, you know, you used to
There's
be like
another one. There's another. Yeah, like there's more. They have more than you
Curb?
would even imagine. Yeah, Curb.
Sex in the City.
No,
Right.
I mean it's
All of it.
loaded.
The Harry Potters.
They got everything, and now they have sports. Now they have live sports. Okay, so before we move on, I think you think Michigan's gonna win this game, Jack?
Yeah.
I think Michigan's gonna win. Katie, do you?
Yeah.
So Brandon's only doing this. I feel like to dig his heels in because
I get it.
he doesn't want Michigan to win.
I
anything.
do think Penn State has the talent to beat Michigan, though.
It's definitely it is nut cutting time for Michigan. We know that.
I'd be really surprised though. Drew Aller still has, even if he has a bad game here, I still believe in him. But this is JJ McCarthy's season. I think it really is, and we'll discuss once the Ohio State game once that comes, and then if they get into the playoff, those will be a little bit tougher matchups. But this is tough.
This is
it's
the
on
first
road.
time we're gonna see what they look like for real.
Do you guys think that the Michigan cheating scandal is going to affect Heisman voters around J.J. McCarthy?
Yeah, because his numbers aren't good enough, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
If he was just like above and beyond every single other player, I would say no. But I think that there is like that taste in the mouth of just like, okay, even now.
That being said, if he goes in these
that's about to say.
2 games
and lights it up,
let's say 5 touchdowns against Penn
Yeah.
State, 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing against Ohio State, the award may be his, because this is these 2 games are the cleanest, purest games ever because they got exposed. So now that and they're the SeatGeek sniper is no longer with their program.
I love that. The Michigan Manifesto. Okay, so if you could watch any player in the country this weekend, Katie, who would it be?
For me, it'd be Jackson Dart, just because I think Jack mentioned earlier, if Ole Miss was to go in there, like it has to be on Jackson Dart to light it up and have the game of his life. Do I think that's very likely? We'll see, but if Ole Miss is in the game, I think it's because Jackson Dart explodes and
Pause.
also very fair.
I'm sorry.
And as soon as I heard him snicker, I was like, I know where that's going.
Say that is a great player to watch. He's
Jack's
also
mind's in the gutter.
It's so funny how Ole Miss, they just have these like dirtbag quarterbacks. Like Jackson Dart, I'm sure he's a good guy, but he's like, he just looks like a dirtbag. Like, just the way he does his eye black.
Yeah.
The way he
is
Matt Corral was a dirtbag too. And then of course, I mean Chad Kelly, Bo, not Bo Dallas. He was a WWE wrestler. Bo Wallace was a dirtbag.
They are, you know what? They are dirt bags.
No, and it's not like
they've done something wrong.
They're just like dirtbags.
Well, it's like they just carry themselves as if they would be like
they're just all dirt. Like, and I think but I think it's a perfect brand for Ole Miss. It's
definitely.
Like I'm sure those guys will all go on in their life and be very nice humans. But in college, there's a lot of guys out there that were dirt bags in college that end up being amazing fathers, amazing like additions to society. But during college, they were dirtbags. Matt Corral was a dirtbag. Like,
I mean, never forget the Chad Kelly Mia Khalifa.
Situation. Chad Kelly's like, it's just he's
he
Swag
called him
Kelly.
Swag Kelly. I mean, I do agree that I think that
Jordan Teamu was the only one who wasn't a dirtbag. He was like a nice.
He was so like little of a dirtbag that you forget his name when you start naming off Ole Miss quarterbacks.
We are talking. Ole Miss has just the legacy of dirtbag quarterbacks.
But they own it. I like that answer, Katie, because I do think Jackson Dart plays a major role in this, and I don't think that they can do it. But if they do beat Georgia, I mean Lane Kiffin.
No, I mean it's one of the bigger wins in the last few years of college football.
And it's by
Georgia
far his biggest win. If let's say hypothetically, if you're Ole Miss, you have got to pay Lane a shitload of money to keep him there.
Here's the thing. Georgia loses this game, it may not matter.
You mean for the playoff?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I think that if they lose this game, and you're saying if they win the SEC championship.
Yeah. I think if they lose to Ole Miss, it won't matter.
Because they would have to have beaten
they have
Alabama.
One loss. Ole Miss
I guess if Ole Miss wins, I know Alabama has to lose as well, but there is still a possibility Ole Miss could be in Atlanta if that happens, and then that would mean that
would be an interesting thing they would have to decide upon. It's so unlikely because I think Georgia's going to run through them. But what would they do if Georgia beats Bama? But they lost Ole Miss. I think they put Georgia in because that's why they value
is the SEC championship,
especially with a win over Tennessee and then a win over
Georgia. Is very, very fascinating all of a sudden with their scheduling, because we made fun of their schedule for so long, and in the offseason it was like, well, Michigan has the easiest schedule in the country, and then Georgia's right there. Georgia's back end of this schedule has gotten way harder.
Big T was talking about this, but Tennessee is low-key alive because if Georgia loses this weekend, then Tennessee beats Georgia. Tennessee would be in the SEC championship. And if they avenge their loss to Alabama, they're 11-2.
Stop it.
That's just a lot of ifs.
I know.
I know. And that goes
It's
back to what you were talking about with Missouri.
Chance.
The fact that Big T, and listen, God bless him, and God bless fans that can do this, because I feel like my team will never be able to do this.
Well, they still have to beat Mizzou.
But if you sit there and you can start really convincing yourself that there's a way to get into the playoff, and you have to start doing all those ifs, but you really believe it, like, that's something.
It's like what Jack said with the LSU tickets. Like, it's plus like 100.
The LSU tickets were like those were just like people just did it because they like 100 to 1. Like,
this is the same. Like, this is like 10,000.
You just donated your money. You should have given it to charity.
Well, it's Tennessee fans also last year. I mean, never forget that they choked away their chance to get into the college football playoff because of Clemson and South Carolina. Tennessee
did
fans,
Michigan give the signs?
Well, Michigan gave them their signs.
Yeah,
so.
Of course, naturally.
But now we're learning. Hey, everyone gives signs to everybody. So I tweeted out. I just tweeted out during the show. If Maryland gives Michigan their Penn State signs this weekend, are they cheating? Because what I've been told on Twitter for the past 24 hours is everybody does this. And that goes back to, and I'm going to go back to our tweet, the replies when we said 2 weeks ago, hey, we need to remember with this Michigan, this was before we saw how deep Conor Stallions' syndicate of stealing signs went, but We said everybody does this. And everyone's like, no, you stupid idiots. And then not even just Brandon, because Brandon's playing a shtick. Like, people on Twitter, also, Brandon can call us idiots. That's different, because we know he doesn't really mean it. They got people on Twitter. It's interesting. And also, the other fans are going through the same phase that Michigan fans went through, where everybody does this. And then it's like, wait, so everybody does this. Wait, are we actually cheating?
Yeah. Glass houses.
But
baby.
Michigan's gone through everything, so they have the advantage.
Yes,
they're mature, and we've already gone through this emotionally.
We've been here before.
We've been here before.
It's a James Franco first time meme.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. First time.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. 100%.
1000%.
It's gonna level the playing field. If everyone's treating equally, it goes back to on the field results.
Which I understand that the Conor Stallions thing. We've said this over and over, is so ridiculous and so absurd, but there still is, to me, it's like, Michigan's still a very talented team, and Michigan.
Oh, but that's yeah.
I mean, Brandon being like, they're talented because they still signals. Like, no, they're a talented football team.
I see what he was saying.
I do, but I still.
No. If you don't think Michigan's a talented football team,
like, they're not only winning because they were cheating.
Also, now everybody fucking cheats. That's the whole Michigan's entire point.
Yeah,
Michigan's entire point.
It's just they didn't. You know what? Everybody.
All right,
cheats.
maybe we cheat a tiny bit more, but the competitive advantage that we got from Conor Stallions going out and filming it himself is not that big of a deal. You okay, take away some scholarships, fine. You caught us. But outside of that, I mean, come on, guys. It's like, what are we talking about here? It's not like they went into Ohio State's locker rooms before the game and gave them, like, food poisoning.
I think that when we look back in a few years or a few decades and we do, like, the biggest, we're always going to talk about, like, Harvey Updike, the fact that he poisoned the trees.
Conor Stallions. The streets will never forget Conor Stallions.
What a legend.
He is legendary.
Even if
you're right. No, it's Harvey Updike, Conor Stallions, the two biggest names of, like, off the field college football drama.
That's
ever.
Not right. That was. I mean, I know Harvey Updike went to jail, but like that's not like real true crimes against humanity.
Oh yeah, that's why Conor Stallions is a hero. He didn't do any crimes against humanity.
He's just this crazy,
and
he's just this much of a wild person.
That's why I love how this story so much, because I don't feel bad about it.
No,
there's no oh my God, that like this kid was affected or this human being was affected or there was like a situation where, crimes were covered up. Yeah, maybe crimes under the NCAA's bylaws, but like...
You just basically have Jason Bourne in a Michigan jersey. That's what you have. That's what Conor Stallion is.
That is an American hero. Build him a statue.
Yeah, build him a statue.
I think Dave will build him a statue.
Oh, for sure. Okay.
Those shirts, I need those shirts.
They're phenomenal. Jack, if you could watch one player in the country, who would it be?
JJ McCarthy.
That's good. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit different. We talked about the Heisman. I think it's going to be Bo Nix. Now, I understand he's playing USC's defense. USC did just fire Alex Grinch. I don't think that's automatically going to just fix everything. I don't think their defense is all of a sudden going to go from, the bottom floor to one of the best in the country. However, we have seen in the past that if you fire a coach, there's a little bit of a revival. We saw, I know I'm getting crushed right now on Twitter for my take on Caleb Williams crying, but there's a lot. I haven't actually read them.
What did you say?
I saw it's fine.
I saw that there was 200 replies on the main account.
The main account's main account.
So no, but I don't care. I stand by
people,
this.
Like, there's gonna be the Caleb Williams thing. There's gonna be people that say he's a pussy, and that's just
whatever.
Especially, and it's a lot of people with 100 followers, 150.
Oh yeah, no, I don't care.
And I mean, that's Twitter's ecosystem. I know you don't care, but I did see. There were some people. There was a guy who was begging to come on the podcast during the off season that had a take that he was like, "You're such a pussy." He's just like a classic football guy. But I mean, like, that kind of makes college football and whatnot
I saw
fun.
that guy stinks.
I saw all the comments on Necessary Roughness. I saw at least on the Instagram where
that's not Jason Brown, by the way. Jason Brown was saying that, but that's Jason Brown's MO. If Jason Brown was okay with Caleb Williams' crime, it'd be like, "Are you okay, Jason Brown?"
That's true. Like, are you a hostage?
We love Jason Brown around here.
I think USC. Now, I don't think they're going to beat Oregon, but I think that we're going to see an emotional kind of revival from USC. The fact that they've never not been ranked, under Lincoln Riley, and I know it's only been 2 years. I get that. But you've got Caleb Williams crying in the stands and all the opinions on that. You've got people saying that maybe his draft stock has dropped because of it. Not only do I think it's going to be a good game, I think Bo Nix can skyrocket up with the Heisman odds. He's already up there as it is, but Bo Nix has been so damn good. He has had a phenomenal season, and I know they have the loss to Washington, which I do think they're going to be able to avenge. But Bo Nix is going to be able to throw against this team, just like every other team in the country has, regardless if Alex Grinch is there or not. And I think that this is going to be and it's at late game. It's Pac-12 after dark. I think the kickoff's at like 10:30.
Yeah, it is.
I think that Bo Nix has one hell of a game, but I do think it's going to be exciting. I do not think that this is going to be, I mean, the fact that we're sitting here talking about Bo Nix versus Caleb Williams, and from a Pac-12 race standpoint, from a college football playoff standpoint, Oregon is way more important than USC. That doesn't mean that this quarterback battle is not going to be fucking sick.
Awesome. I think this game, I'm excited for this game no matter what.
It just sucks that USC.
Yeah, it could have been a
can you imagine?
massive game, but it's not.
It's not. But I do think Oregon wins, but I think that it could be a really fun game. I don't even, what's the point spread on that right now?
I think it's like 14. No, I think it's like 10.
USC also just doesn't cover
15.
All right, so it is 14.
Damn. Okay.
That's a lot.
73.5 for the total.
I feel like you got to take that too. Although Oregon's defense is pretty good.
But Caleb Williams is the stat of Caleb Williams since he went to USC. I think 21 or 22 of 26 games have gone over. I mean, it's just...
It's unbelievable. Okay, Jack, do you have an upset alert? I got one, and let's see if you agree. Do you think Florida could beat LSU?
Yeah, I'm going to say Florida State.
Really?
Against Miami. Miami's kind of been down. I mean, disappointing season for Miami. But this is a huge game, massive rivalry, one of the bigger rivalries in the sport. And I do believe that Miami has the talent to put together a really good game. And Florida State's they've been killing teams, but that Pittsburgh game, there was a fumble into the end zone at the last second earlier in the game that we could have seen Pittsburgh up big. This is at home for Florida State, though, which I think will help. But I think I'm going to put them on alert.
Okay, yeah, just because you put them on alert doesn't mean you think it's going to happen. It's just it's a tornado warning versus tornado watch.
Yeah.
People in the South will understand that. You guys up here probably don't understand the difference between that, do you?
No.
Do you?
Can assume, but not
I can
used to
assume
it.
I can.
A tornado watch means that you just need to be on alert for it. A tornado warning means it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's coming. It's coming. Okay, who do you have on upset alert?
I have Washington. I think Utah goes back to just like, you can never count them out. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. Also, just Washington, they've gotten caught up so many times. They're going to get hit at one point, and this could be it.
I already said mine. Florida, LSU. Like I do think LSU is the better team. We don't know what's happening with Florida, but once LSU kind of hits that point, which they are right now, like they know they can't win the SEC West unless, barring literal chaos. They're not going to make the college football playoff, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. There's still like an attitude thing there. I do think Jaden Daniels wants to continue to play the way that he does, obviously.
Is he playing this weekend?
He hasn't cleared concussion protocol last.
So that's the thing.
I mean, it's still it, and also there is a lot of hype for that Garrett Nussmeier, right?
He's another name, and I know he's not been there that long, but that name feels like he's been playing college football forever. But Jaden Daniels, if he does play, has the Heisman on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Very low odds because of how many games they've lost, but his stats are crazy.
He should be cleared for contact on Thursday.
What's
Jaden Daniels?
Today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll know. Obviously,
he's been cleared to practice today, not contact. So towards it, but not guaranteed. Also, just knowing the Florida scope, it would fit because how we've said, either lose, look incompetent, or win easily. Like, I think it would just be very funny. I would not be surprised if just like the football gods, Florida wins this.
Yeah, that one is up there. Okay, Jack, under the radar game.
Under the radar game, mine's Florida State, Miami. It's the same as upset. I just think this is a game that I was going to say Tennessee, Mizzou, but we already discussed it. I do think Florida State, Miami is always interesting. It's always fun, so that's my under the radar.
I said mine.
Two talented teams.
I said mine. A&M, Mississippi State. More so, it's under the radar because most of the country couldn't give less of a shit. But on this podcast, it's everything. So that's where I'm going.
I ironically have both of them marked down as my first and second choice. I think, Florida State, Miami, just because of the hate. It's also like, look at Florida State, Florida last year. The trilogy of those three teams, Florida State, Miami, is always very interesting. And just the drama, the group text will be very funny, hopefully.
I don't know. Brandon's making it not very fun because he's
like,
both you guys hate your teams equally right now.
I don't have first of all, the excuse of, he always says, like, talks about, Mike Leach passing away, RIP. I also want Jimbo gone. So I'm kind of in that pickle.
Both of you guys are okay with a loss.
But I also don't ever want to lose to Brandon. That's my problem.
I don't think you're going to lose to him.
I don't think I'm going to either. But that's like
they're
that's where
brutal.
It's an 18-point spread.
I'm truly in a pickle.
They can't score.
Well, no, they stink. They're horrible. Like, A&M's going to win this game, and that's fine. Like, I do not want to lose to Brandon. Katie, you're playing Duke this weekend. How are we feeling about that? Speaking of hating.
Fine. It's like under the radar. It's like we have this.
That was my second under the radar game.
Nervous. I don't know what to expect of this team anymore. Like, I'm not even, like, not a bit, not a shtick. I feel like we have the ability to. We should theoretically be able to. It's just what team's going to show up.
But
what
it's
defense is going to show up.
college basketball season now.
I'm not a basketball. Hear me loud and clear. You can call me out on Twitter. UNC basketball, like, I have to be really bored to go watch it. Once we're in March Madness, that's different. But in the season of basketball, I just don't.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything for me.
Well, most people listening to this probably agree with you.
Unless it's Duke UNC basketball is different.
That's what I mean. This matchup being in November on the football field is like while basketball's happening. Anything else? I know that Brandon, I will say that without Brandon here, we got to get into games more often because usually he's rushing away to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God forbid we talk about games and actually preview them.
So no, we didn't have all like the shenanigans that we normally have, but we did get to get into more games. Tonight, if you're listening to this, obviously the Barstool Invitational is in Chicago. It's barstool.tv.
Yep.
Or
on
live
YouTube.
on our YouTube. So make sure you watch that. The Barstool College Football Show will be live from TCU, which is TCU, Texas. We didn't talk about that game. I think we all know Texas is the better team. TCU has had a lot of success against Texas since they've been in the Big 12. It's the last time they're going to play in the Big 12. Malik Murphy, we'll see what happens. I still think Texas wins, but we will be there. 5 p.m. Central, right in front of the stadium is where that show will be. Just a lot of things going on at Barstool, a lot of great things. Thanks for hanging out, and we will be back Saturday night, right?
Saturday night or Sunday morning. Brandon was so short on time we didn't talk about it, but
a lot of things happening. So we will have our instant reaction podcast this weekend, but there's a lot of moving parts because of all the travel. But thanks for hanging out. That was Unnecessary Roughness.